The honourable member for Wellington Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, I'll be splitting my time with the member for Calgary Centre. Mr. Speaker, the attack on Ukraine by the Russian Federation is the first European war between countries since the Second World War, and a serious violation of the international order and our collective humanity. This attack threatens not only Ukraine, but Canada. Canada's defence and security has always been inextricably linked to that of Europe's. The attack was in Ukraine, but the threat is also among us. Since Samuel de Champlain founded Quebec in 1608, the outbreak of major wars in Europe has always involved Canada. The 7 Years' War, which many consider to be the first global conflict between Great Britain and France, led to the conquest of 1759. What we call the War of 1812 was actually a subsidiary of the Napoleonic Wars. And Canadians know well the price Canada paid in the First World War and the Second World War in Europe. 100,000 Canadian war dead can attest to that. Cette attaque menace également le Canada.
This attack also is a threat to Canada in other ways because it follows autocratic actions of Russia and China. This threatens the world order, rules-based world order, which exists since 1945. This world order, well, Canada contributed to establishing it. It led to the longest period of prosperity in the modern era. If this world order crumbles, it could threaten peace and security here at home.
We support the actions taken to date by the Government of Canada, but more needs to be done, which is why we have introduced our motion today. One of the most important things we can do is understand that energy is vital not only to our economy, but also to our defence and security, and the defence and security of Europe. Russia understands this. It has used natural gas to intimidate and coerce European democracies. Russia supplies 40% of Europe's natural gas and uses this to intimidate Europe and Ukraine, threatening to cut off supplies. If supplies are cut, people will freeze, factories will shutter, and Europe's economy will grind to a halt. And not only does Russia understand this, not only do they understand that energy is vital to their defence and security, so does the European Union. In 2015, the European Commission introduced measures to try and diversify energy away from Russia. The Commission said in reference to Russia's use of energy to intimidate and threaten European democracies in a document titled A Framework Strategy for a Resilient Energy Union with a Forward-Looking Climate Change Policy, quote, energy policy is often used as a foreign policy tool, in particular in major energy-producing and transit countries, end quote. The Commission said, quote, as part of a revitalized European energy and climate diplomacy, the European Union will use all its foreign policy instruments to establish strategic energy partnerships with increasingly important producing and transit countries or regions, end quote. And it also said, the European Union will continue to integrate Norway fully into its internal energy policies. The European Union will also develop its partnerships with countries such as the United States and Canada, end quote. We need to understand, Madam Speaker, as do the Russians and the Europeans, that energy is vital not only to our economy, but to our defence and security. We need to understand what others have long understood, that energy is also a foreign policy tool, particularly in major energy-producing and transit countries. Since the first week of December, the Biden administration has been trying to rally natural gas-producing allies and partners around the world, such as Norway and Qatar, to ensure that additional natural gas supplies can be brought online in the event that Russia cuts the gas to Europe. While Canada has participated in these conversations, Canada has not been able to provide any assistance. Canada is the world's 5th largest natural gas producer, but we are unable to get natural gas to Tidewater to provide assistance to European democracies. We cannot get natural gas to Tidewater because we cannot get pipelines built. And that inability to get pipelines built is not now only impacting our economy, it's now threatening our security and defense here at home and that of the defense and security of Europe.
The government needs to introduce measures to ensure that new pipelines can be approved and built to transport Canadian natural gas to Atlantic Tidewater. This would allow us to displace Russian gas in Europe. This is an urgent question, a question that concerns our national defense and the security of Canadians. It's also an urgent question concerning the defense and security of European democracies.
Now, Madam Speaker, I know that some might say exporting liquefied natural gas to Europe is inconsistent with our environmental goals. They would be wrong. Exporting liquefied natural gas is consistent with environmental goals in the transition to non-emitting sources of energy. One of the biggest things Canada can do, one of the biggest things the world can do in the next decade to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in order to meet the Paris Accord targets is to replace coal-fired electrical generation plants with natural gas-fired electrical generation plants. Canada can play a role in that transition if we can build natural gas pipelines to Tidewater to export liquefied natural gas. The government's own data shows that coal-fired electrical generation plants are 2 times more greenhouse gas intensive than natural gas plants. And Europe and many other countries in the world still rely on coal-fired electrical generation plants. Getting our natural gas to Tidewater is not only an economic imperative, it's not only a defense and security imperative, it is an environmental imperative. Madam Speaker, let me finish by saying this. We condemn President Putin and the Russian Federation for their unprovoked, illegal attack and invasion of Ukraine. We stand with Ukraine. We stand with the people of Ukraine, and we stand with Canadians here at home with ties to Ukraine. We must use all of the tools available to us as a country to defend Ukraine and Europe against a vicious authoritarian onslaught. One of the things that Canada can do to support democracies in Europe is for this government to recognize that Canada has immense energy resources, is to recognize that energy is vital to Canadian and European defense and security, to recognize that natural gas is consistent with environmental goals in the transition to non-emitting sources of energy, and to undertake new measures that ensure natural gas pipelines can be built and approved to Atlantic Tidewater. If we can build pipelines to get Canadian natural gas to Tidewater, we can displace Russian gas in Europe, thereby countering the threat from the Russian Federation and President Vladimir Putin, and strengthening democracy in Europe and here at home in Canada. Thank you.